Take just a moment today to really look at your nails. Check the color of your lips in the mirror. Notice how your body reacts when you press on an ache. Based on your energy levels and your skin tone right now, what story is your blood trying to tell you? Your internal river is literally always communicating with you. We just have to learn how to listen. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, guys, and I'll catch you in the next one.
I worked as a banker for 30 years, but now I work as an acupuncturist.
Let's jump right into today's explainer, guys. We're looking at the human body, but through a totally different lens, specifically how traditional medicine views our blood system. Instead of just thinking about blood as, well, just a liquid that carries oxygen, I really want you to picture a flowing river system carving through a huge landscape. When that river flows perfectly, the land thrives. But what happens when it dries up, or boils, or freezes, or hits a giant dam? That is exactly what we're going to unpack today. We've got a pretty straightforward roadmap for this explainer. We'll start with when blood goes wrong, then dive into the four main issues: not enough blood, blood that's too hot, blood that's too cold, and stuck blood. Finally, we'll wrap up with how to actually listen to your body. All right, part one, when blood goes wrong and the four states of imbalance. No, traditional medicine doesn't look at these blood disorders as just, isolated diseases. It's a whole body issue. It really all comes down to volume, temperature, and flow. If even one of those three factors gets thrown off, your entire system pays the price, because that proper nutrition just isn't reaching your tissues. The main takeaway here is that we aren't talking about one bad organ. We're talking about massive, systemic changes in how our blood actually nourishes us. Think of it like this. If the river's ecosystem collapses, literally every single plant along the banks is going to feel it. Which brings us to our first specific issue in part two: not enough blood, or as I like to call it, the dry river. So first up is the state of just complete emptiness. Imagine a river with barely a trickle of water left. The surrounding land gets dry, it cracks, it goes completely barren. Inside your body, this means your tissues, your muscles, your organs, they are literally starving for vital nutrition. The volume of blood is just too low to get the job done. It's a fundamental lack of resources that completely dictates how you look and, honestly, how you feel every single day. And what's super fascinating is how the outside of our body acts as this perfect mirror for what's going on inside. When that river runs dry, the color just drains from the landscape. You'll see the face lose that healthy, vibrant red tone and maybe take on kind of a pale yellowish tint. Your lips, which, by the way, are a massive indicator of blood health, they go completely pale. Even your tongue loses its redness. Traditional practitioners could literally just glance at your face and immediately know, yep, the river is running dangerously low. But hey, it's not just about aesthetics, right? It's about how you physically feel. Because your system is running on empty, the symptoms hit hard. You know that crazy head rush and dizziness you get when you stand up too fast? That's a huge sign. Your eyes might get super blurry or dry because the blood simply isn't there to moisten them. You can even spot it at your extremities. Your nails might deform, get these weird hard ridges, or turn totally pale. Internally, you might feel your heart skipping a beat or racing with palpitations. And if someone checked your pulse, it wouldn't feel like a rushing stream at all. It'd feel incredibly thin, like a tiny little thread. All right, moving on to part three, blood too hot, or the boiling river. Picture turning the stove all the way up under a pot of water. When excess heat gets trapped in your body, maybe from a really severe illness, massive stress, or even your environment, that heat transfers straight into your bloodstream. The blood heats up, and what does boiling water do? It moves fast, and it gets violent. Your circulation speeds up to this dangerously rapid pace. So the river isn't just flowing anymore, it is turned into raging, boiling rapids. And the fallout from this boiling river? It is highly visual and honestly kind of scary, because the blood is rushing so incredibly fast and hot, it builds up massive pressure inside your blood vessels. Those delicate little vessels simply cannot contain all that chaotic energy, and they actually break. This is exactly why a primary symptom of blood too hot is bleeding. We're talking frequent nosebleeds, or noticing sudden bleeding from your gums when you brush your teeth, or in worst case scenarios, severe internal bleeding. Basically, the heat is literally forcing the blood right out of its normal pathways. Okay, so what's the flip side? Part 4, blood too cold, the frozen river. This is the exact opposite of our boiling rapids. In this state, a really deep chill has settled into the body. And we all know that when things get cold, they contract, right? They slow way down. The blood literally gets chilled and its movement becomes incredibly sluggish. Think of a river in the dead of winter, turning into this thick, heavy slush of ice. The water is technically still there, sure, but it can barely move, which means it completely fails to nourish the landscape around it. Now here is where it gets really interesting. When we put these two temperature extremes side by side, we see a wild pattern. On one hand, you've got blood too hot. It's unnatural, it's fast, it's breaking vessels and getting sticky like a reduced syrup on a stove. On the other hand, you have blood too cold. It's incredibly slow and sluggish. But guess what? They both lead to the exact same massive problem: stagnation. It literally doesn't matter if the blood boils down or freezes over. The end result is that it stops flowing properly. Which leads us perfectly into part 5. Stuck blood, or the dammed river. Stuck blood is quite literally exactly what it sounds like. It's thick, sludgy blood that has just pooled up and completely stopped moving. As we just saw, whether it was boiled into a sticky syrup or frozen into an icy slush, the river has essentially hit a giant dam. The natural flow is entirely blocked, leaving the blood thick, dark, and just stubbornly stuck in one place. Figuring out if you have this is absolutely crucial, and the red flags are super distinct. When blood stops moving and loses its oxygen, the body drops those healthy pink tones and trades them for purple. You'll literally see lips and tongues turn a very distinct purple or bluish shade. But the real kicker? The pain. You'll often feel this incredibly specific, sharp, stabbing pain. Unlike a regular muscle ache that kind of moves around, this pain is completely fixed in one precise location. It is quite literally the physical sensation of a roadblock inside your internal river. But check this out. Here is one of the most fascinating diagnostic tricks from traditional medicine to figure out if your pain is genuinely from stuck blood. It's called the pressure test, and it's actually something you can try on yourself right now if you've got a nagging ache somewhere. So the logic is super simple. If you have a normal ache, like say just basic muscle fatigue or a tension headache, and you rub it or massage it, it usually feels better, right? It feels relieving. That tells you, okay, this is not stuck blood. However, if you press firmly on the pain and it feels intensely worse, like so bad you physically wince and pull away, traditional practitioners call that the refusal of pressure. And that tells you the blood is physically congested right there. You're basically pushing directly on a swollen, blocked dam, which is exactly why your body utterly rejects the pressure. Finally, let's wrap up with part 6, listening to your body. What is your internal river actually doing? We went ahead and condensed everything into a super simple 4 rivers checklist for you: dry, boiling, frozen, and dammed. By just paying a little bit of attention to these basic visual cues on your own body, you can easily spot which of the 4 states your internal system might be leaning toward. It's so empowering, you know? It helps you realize that a random nosebleed isn't always just a random event, and pale lips aren't just some cosmetic thing. They're literal status reports straight from your circulatory system. So I want to leave you with this final thought. Take just a moment today to really look at your nails. Check the color of your lips in the mirror. Notice how your body reacts when you press on an ache. Based on your energy levels and your skin tone right now, what story is your blood trying to tell you? Your internal river is literally always communicating with you. We just have to learn how to listen. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, guys, and I'll catch you in the next one.
I worked as a banker for 30